Each day so far in Lent, the church has offered a rather extensive meditation on the story of the Exodus, on the liberation of the people of Israel, setting them free from slavery in Egypt and leading them to the Promised Land. And alongside each part of that story each day, the church offers a reading from one of the church fathers. And one of them, and been so many of them so far, I've lost track of specifically which one it was, but track me down later if you want to know where this comes from. I'll look it up for you. But one of the church fathers said that clearly God manifests his majesty in creation. He manifests his great love for all things by looking upon creation and calling it good. But God truly demonstrates his goodness and his power in the fact that when we had rejected him, when we had turned our backs on him, when we had abandoned him, he did not destroy us. And so, in the midst of this great season of prayer and penance and of imploring the Lord for real renewal and real transformation in our lives, let us remember that. Our experience of the law as children can very quickly lead us to a misunderstanding, and I certainly know many adults who, when they look upon the church today, are still stuck looking at the law as though they were 4 years old. The church sounds like a big stack of thou shalt nots. And today's first reading from the giving of the law at Mount Sinai seems to reaffirm that. It's a big long list of no's. And in our lifetimes, that's the message that most people have heard. When you boil everything that the church says and does down to gravy, as they say back home, that's all that really the church has to say. Don't have sex before marriage. Don't use artificial birth control. Don't have an abortion. Don't get a divorce, on and on and on. And it wears people out because all you do all day long is criticize me for the things that I shouldn't do. This is what they have forgotten. They have forgotten a critical element of the story. That if it were God's desire to punish a sinner, there would have been no need for the giving of the law. And if God ever had changed his mind after giving the law and wanted to give up on the world, there would have been no need to send the prophets. And if God had ever changed his mind, he certainly could have spared himself a lot of trouble. There would have been no need for him to send his only begotten Son to remind us of one thing. O Lord, you love all things that are. For what you did not love, you would not have fashioned. For one that you did not love, you would never have given. Not a big stack of rules, but a roadmap in a vastly dark and confusing world in which without the law we would have no hope of ever finding the one who has given us the law. And that is the purpose of the Ten Commandments. It is the purpose of every single letter, every smallest bit, smallest part of a letter of the law. is not to give God an occasion to judge us or to condemn us or to punish us, but to give us the way to be restored to Him. Again, something that were we left on our own, we would have no hope of ever accomplishing. God only ever acts with a single motive: to provide recourse to a simple, a humble, and a contrite heart that says to Him, Lord, I want to know that you are who you say you are. I want to know, Lord, that I am who you say I am. And I want to know, Lord, that you created me for a purpose and with a direction and with a destiny. And each day that goes by, Lord, I want to grow in confidence that all of these things are true. That you love me. That you sent your Son to die to save me. And that you are with me now to enlighten me, to strengthen me, and to set me free. And so that is another reason to be so grateful for this consecrated time. Because in most of our lives, we spend so much time and energy and attention and passion simply fending off all of the contrary voices of the world. We spend so much time and energy dealing with the painful memory of past hurts and the guilt over past mistakes or the resentment of past injury that still commands so much of our time and attention and energy now. We are still so vulnerable to falling into the false belief that we will never be made whole, and that our integrity and our dignity and our innocence and our serenity and our intimacy and our love can never be restored. That is the message of the cross. Jesus, in looking out across the valley to Mount Zion, says, and don't get lost in the vastness of history, in this grand ocean of humanity, God speaks to you personally from the cross. And He says, this is why I'm up here. So that regardless of what you encounter in this world, regardless of what you endure in this world, whatever the world has brought you, whatever has brought you to this moment, you will always be able to look up. You will always have recourse to me. And again, when you express with a contrite and humble heart the sincere desire not only to be forgiven, but to be healed and made whole, you will be free to live the life that I created you to live. And each day from that moment forward becomes a day of growth and of growing in clarity and confidence that you are who God says you are, and that you are on perhaps a regrettably short path to living in intimate union with Him in a place already created for you, a place where all of the shadows and all of the struggles and all of the doubts and all of the hurts of the world have finally been swept away. To live in intimacy, in peace, and love with the one who calls you now.